Hi, my name's Gav and welcome to the channel. Look, let's be honest, traveling with hydrofoil gear can be a total nightmare. Oversized bags, excess baggage fees, and airlines that look at your board as if it's a rocket launcher. I've been hit with crazy charges, had gear delayed or lost, or even had boards arrive dinged up before the trip had even started. And here's the good news. After years of flying with foils, wings and boards, I've learned a few tricks that make traveling easier and save you a ton of money and stress. So in this video, I'm going to share my top 5 tips for traveling with hydrofoil gear. These are real world hacks that I actually use on trips, from packing strategies to airline loopholes and even a simple bag trick that literally saved me hundreds on my last flight. So if you're planning a trip with your gear, this is one you don't want to miss. So before we get started, I want to do a shout out to the brands that support this channel and my mission to raise money for Bear Cottage, the children's hospice based here in Sydney. And that's North, FoilDrive, WSS Boards, the Foil Board Company, Full Sessions app, and of course, Code Foils. Thank you guys, your help means the world. Here's a mistake I see all the time, and that's throwing everything into one giant bag. Look, there are 2 big problems with this. First, if the airline loses your bag or it's delayed, you've lost all your gear. Now, this has actually happened to me twice before. The first, well, it was brutal, just sitting and watching the others play in perfect waves. And the second time, well, I was prepared. And the only reason I got onto the water was because I split my gear across multiple bags. This meant I could beg, borrow, and patch together the missing pieces until my main bag turned up. Secondly, you're almost guaranteed to smash the airline's weight limit if you put it all into one bag. In my experience, most airlines set that around 23 kilos, something like that. And if you blow past it, you're paying excess baggage, that's for sure, which often costs more than checking in a second bag. Look, the smartest strategy is to spread the load. And here's my exact system. So the board goes into a travel bag with a mast and one wing wrapped around it. A separate suitcase takes another wing, a couple of power wings, plus the foils and stabs. Wetsuits and towels, they double up as padding on both the board and in the suitcase. The key is to balance things so that neither bag tips over that 23 kilogram limit. And don't forget your carry-on. You can usually sneak in a surprising amount of small but heavy gear like cameras, batteries, and even 1 or 2 smaller parts. One more thing worth thinking about long term is the length of your board. If you're somebody that travels a lot, a versatile mid-length under 6 foot is a lifesaver. Most airlines will check that in as standard luggage without even raising an eyebrow. I personally try to look for a board with as much volume as practical under that 6 foot mark. Travel bags are always a tricky compromise. On one hand, the wheels are a lifesaver when you're dragging heavier gear through airports, but on the other, they do add weight. And this could be the difference between fitting in another wing or indeed a foil. That's why I was genuinely impressed when the Foil Board Company released their convertible travel bag. It's designed so that you can actually remove the wheels before weigh-in. It's pure genius and obviously designed by someone that's traveled a lot. In fact, I used it recently on a trip to Bali and it worked like a dream. At the check-in desk, I popped the wheels off, I tucked them into my backpack, and I shaved just enough weight to avoid that excess baggage. It was really close. Then, once I'd moved over to the oversized counter, I clipped them straight back in again and rolled it through the airport. It's such a simple hack, but it makes the difference, and it really did save me quite a bit of money. Build quality wise is excellent, lightweight, bomb-proof, looks good, and clearly made to last. I highly recommend checking it out, and I'll drop a link in the description below. Yes, I am biased, they do support my channel, but genuinely it is a great product. It's worth checking out. Here's the reality, your board bag will get thrown around. You need to assume that it's gonna be dropped, stacked under heavy luggage, and of course, dragged over concrete. Your goal is to protect your gear without making the bag so heavy that you lose packing space or indeed have to pay extra money. For me, bubble wrap is still king. It's light, it's cheap, and it gives surprisingly good protection. I'll also wrap the wings around the board itself and pay extra attention to the nose, the tail, and the rails with padding. I also use the board structure to shield the longer, more fragile gear like masts and foils. Pack them in so they're snug, not rattling around, and this is a big one, always bring a mini repair kit. A UV cure epoxy, some tape, and a bit of sandpaper. I have lost count how many times that has saved me. A cracked rail or a ding nose due to aggressive baggage handling can ruin your whole trip unless you've got a way to fix it quickly. It doesn't need to look pretty, it just needs to be watertight so you can keep riding. Then when you get home, you can then send it in for a proper repair. Not all airlines are created equal. Some are fantastic with sports gear, while others bleed you dry. The worst part is you usually don't find out until you're standing in the check-in desk handing over money. Trust me, I know, I've been there. That's why it pays to do your research before you book. Check the baggage policies for sports equipment on the airline's website. And don't be afraid to pay a little extra for a ticket with an airline that's known to be surf or wind sport friendly. Another pro move is to check forums and community groups. Surfers, kiters, windfoilers, they often keep updated notes on which airlines are friendly and which ones to avoid. A bit of digging online can save you a huge headache at the airport. Finally, you've got to be selective. As much as we'd like to take the full quiver, airlines just don't make that possible. So I always study the forecast a few days before the trip and make a short list of what I think I'm actually going to use. I then narrow it down again. Look, here's what usually makes the cut for me. First up is a mid-length board. They're super versatile. 1 or 2 front wings that cover the widest range. For me with code, that's the S series, my trusty OG, the 850S, plus 1 size up or down, depending on the conditions. 1 mast, 1 fuse, and 2 tails. 1 or 2 wind wings at most. Parawings, well, these are a no-brainer. They weigh nothing, they take up almost no space, and they double up as padding. I usually throw in 3 without even thinking about it. And then lastly, a prone board. Look, if it's a surf location, this is a must, so I somehow make space. But items like downwind boards and pump foils, they usually don't make the cut. That setup means I can cover almost any conditions I'm likely to get on a trip without dragging the entire garage to the airport. So there you go, 5 proven tips that will make your next Hydrofoil trip smoother, cheaper, and hopefully way less stressful. If you found this helpful, drop a like, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us grow the channel and support Bear Cottage. Every view, like, and sub goes towards making a difference. And if you've got your own travel hacks, then please let me know in the comments below. It'd be great to share them with the community. And till then, I'll see you on the next trip.